So everyone, welcome to the virtual open house for the online Masters of Professional Studies in Applied Industrial and Organizational Psychology. I am an admissions representative on behalf of George Mason, and we have Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Stego, who kindly are joining us tonight to do the presentation. So we thank everyone for taking the time. We have a good crowd here, 32 people right now. So we thank you for taking the time out of your night to join us.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're really excited to have you here with us tonight. Thank you all so much again for joining. We really want to utilize tonight for you all to share some information about the program, but we really want to give you guys an opportunity to ask us questions live. So if you can put it in the chat, and the everyone feature should hopefully be available. So both Dr. Stagel and I can see those questions, and he'll be answering some of them through chat or out loud. We just also have to keep an eye on the clock. But we will be sharing the information about the program. And we also have an alum as well as a current student who will be speaking to you all at the end, so that you get student perspectives from a recent graduate as well as someone currently still in the program. And Dr. Stigl reminded us that we actually had several alumni join in the spring open house. So if you haven't already, please do check out that video, because really it's best to hear from the students directly about their experiences and where they're at and what they're doing with the knowledge and skills that they gain from this program. So again, tonight we're here for you to answer your questions, but please continue to learn and grow, learning about the field, learning about the program, and hear from different students, and make sure you get access to that video as well. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. We do have a full agenda where you're going to get to hear a little bit more from us, hear about our history, the program, like the actual MPS program, and student testimonials, and some quick reminders about admissions, and some Q&A. So my name is Dr. Afrasaid Ahmed. I am a longtime patriot. I'm a native of Woodbridge, Virginia. So if anyone here from Northern Virginia, raise your hands. There's always a couple from Virginia. But I went to Mason for undergrad, master's, and PhD. And then I was abroad a few times, once on a Fulbright, and then once to work in a business school in Dubai. And then I'm back here, as a program director, and I teach the research methods and practicum courses in the program. And my research interests are in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you join the class, you get to learn a lot more about some of my projects and work that I do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Stagel.
Well, we already have two questions about your background, so that's awesome. Protus, go ahead. And then I guess Joyce was next.
Good. Oh, no, it wasn't a question. I put my hand up because she said, put your hand up if you're from Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Virginia representatives, great.
Oh, okay. Virginia's in the house.
Right. And this is the same reason why my hand is up. I'm actually right across the street from George Mason.
Oh,
nice. Wow.
Yeah, I can walk right into the campus across the street.
That's awesome. Well, you're closer, Joyce. You're closer than I am. I'm about 25 minutes away, but you're a walk away. That's awesome.
Okay, so I am the assistant director, assistant professor here at George Mason's IO MPS program, and much of my information is already in the chat. But I will add that I started my career about 28 years ago at boutique assessment consultancies, and working a lot of assessment center work and test administration, and some for developmental assessment center work, but mostly for selection. And studied thereafter at graduate school at a research institute at UCF in Research Park under the great Eduardo Salas. And then later I transitioned into a series of R&D incubators, primarily for the DoD. And now I'm here in academia in Mason. So I hope to share a lot of the practical wisdom I have for working for 115 different clients, a half dozen or so in the Fortune 100 or close to it. And I look forward to meeting each of you and sharing that. So welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening. Oh, I study team performance, team member, team, and multi-team system performance. And I lead a couple of your courses, so I'm looking forward, including the first one. So I'm looking forward to getting to meet each of you and connecting with you during that course. Welcome.
And again, you have a great opportunity. Dr. Stagel is the one that sort of helps onboard you into the program and the field, and share that wealth of expertise with you all. All All right, so I'm not gonna spend too much time about this, but maybe Joyce knows since she's been around Mason, but Mason has a long history. We are, we're established in 1956 as Northern Virginia branch of UVA. So for those of you who are native to Virginia, may or may not have known that. We became our own independent institution in 1972. We're the largest public university, and we have a lot of accolades, especially, in the Carnegie system as R1 Doctoral Research University. And we have 3 campuses. So for those of you that might come to town, which many of you do at graduation time, we have the main campus, which is the Fairfax, Virginia campus, but we also have one in Prince William and Arlington. You don't want to go there for graduation, but we also have one in South Korea and several online programs just like this one. So sometimes students ask me, do I need to come to campus? And no, you don't need to come to campus during your tenure in this program, but you're welcome to. And if you're like Joyce, who might just need to walk over to the library and study, you're welcome to. The faculty are around, there's students around, but we are, obviously focused on being online and supporting you fully online, since our students are from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. So an introduction to IO psychology. So for those of you that may or may not know, but we have a professional association called Society for Industrial and Organizational Psychology. And there's a short video that, we'd like to share with you all to give you an introduction to the field. Hopefully you all have been doing your research and learning about, I see Abina nodding her head and Frida, that's great. We love to see those nods, but you all have been learning about the field a little bit more, but we're going to spend a minute to do that. Anything else you'd like to add, Dr. Stagel, before I show the video?
I would just add that we pride ourselves on having almost a hybrid, fully hybrid experience where there are live interactions that you can walk across the street and enjoy, like picnic in the park, and there are events on campus, and there are meet and greets, and there are ways to meet masters and PhD students. It's not required, but it's very very healthy interaction and very educational in live conferences and other events that you can attend face to face and get to connect with people personally.
Absolutely. So we have a fall picnic, and everyone gets the invitation, and some, even some that are in Richmond or maybe 2 or 3 hours away or Maryland, they come down to enjoy those interactions. And then we have another meet and greet in the spring, and then we have the SciOp conference where everyone's invited into the reception and gets an opportunity to connect. So lots of opportunities, and obviously as you cross the finish line at graduation, that's always a lot of fun.
We hear comments in the news or from coworkers or friends. The workplace is changing. Businesses have to work smarter to compete in the global economy. Technology is altering the way and pace at which we work. We need to find and prepare employees for the jobs of tomorrow. To meet these challenges, organizations are increasingly relying on experts in workplace science. These professionals, known as industrial organizational psychologists or IO psychologists, work to improve organizations' productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, while striving to make the workplace better for both employers and employees.
All right, so these slides and the video and so forth will be sent out, so we're not going to spend the whole time doing that, but hopefully you all joining tonight know what the IO psychology is, and the video and other resources will provide additional information as to what industrial organizational psychologist or related job description, title sort of does to help the workplace. But again, there's a ton to learn, and even if you know it already or are exposed to a little bit of it in the application process, know that it's going to be something that you're going to sort of accumulate through your time with us in the program. So it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. Now, Mason's Industrial Organizational Psychology program that's on ground was established in 1972. So that's the PhD and MA program. We've had professors and faculty members from the field as academics and practitioners. And we've actually had 5 members, from our program that have been presidents of our professional association, SciOp. And so we have our students, graduate and go work for top organizations or in academia. And we have several, we're the largest IO program in the country. And so that's just a little bit history about our, PhD and MA program that's been established and running. And now 5 years ago, I can't believe it's already been 5 years, but in the summer of 2019, we launched the fully online master's program. So that's what you all are applying to. So the Master's of Professional Studies in Applied Industrial Organizational Psychology program. Now we recognize the need for prior to the pandemic, the need for access for students right all over the country. And not everybody could quit their full-time jobs and move to Fairfax, Virginia, and be in the master's program. And there's limited seats in the master's program. And so we were trying to make the program, the knowledge of the fields, the skills of the field, sort of accessible to a variety of individuals. And so we do take students in the spring, summer, and fall cohorts. Many of you are probably looking at potentially a fall start date, but if that doesn't suit you, please be aware that we also take students in the next spring, if that's better, summer, we work with you, and so forth. So we are sort of based and founded on the scientist practitioner model, which is sort of the heart of IO, and we prepare you for a wide variety of fields. So as you take the first course with Dr. Stagel, you'll realize that you're not looking at just job descriptions that say industrial organizational psychologist. There's a ton of job titles that sort of reach the training that we're providing. You take courses for about 1.5 years, and we follow an 8-week modular calendar schedule. So if you were to join in the fall, you're taking 2 classes with us, 8 weeks at a time. So you're not taking them at the same time. We want you to dive deeply and focus on 1 class at a time, especially since you are balancing work-life demands. And so you'll take 1 class at a time, again, in the spring and the fall. And then in the summer, we have 7. It's a little shorter. It's a little more condensed into 7 weeks. But we do make sure we allow for some breaks in between the semesters, which is something that always didn't exist in the first couple of years of the program. And it was very challenging, but we do have that built in. And every course you take with us, we have applied projects and assessments. So, for those undergrads who dreaded those cumulative finals, that's not sort of our teaching philosophy. We want you to be able to apply what you're learning into the work that you're doing now in ways that are possible and that we can talk about briefly, but we really want you to be able to apply that information into these real life scenarios. So for example, Dr. Stabler talked about a number of ways that he incorporates that in his course. In the research methods and practicum course, you have students identifying workplace problems and trying to collect data from their organizations and addressing those problems. Anything else that you'd like to add? Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
You can add questions to the chat room, and I'll monitor that if you don't want to answer or ask out loud.
All right, no questions yet. So what makes our program unique? So one thing is that all of the faculty in our program bring their wealth of expertise. So we have all of the tenure track faculty who are teaching the doctoral and master students. They have either developed and or teach in the program as well. So you're getting access to their expertise. And maybe Alex can share this a little later when she's speaking, but I don't think you realize how neat that is. I don't think I realized how neat that is until I sat in Dr. Steve Zaccaro's leadership class and realized half of the articles I was reading was written by him. And so it's really a unique opportunity to be able to get access to the folks that have actually written textbooks and books and articles about the topic and be learning directly from them. And similarly, our alumni cadre our adjunct cadre is made up of people who are alumni of the program and outside and working in amazing applied experiences and bringing that wealth of expertise and experience into the classroom. And a lot of times these office hours, which I like to put that in quotes because they're not like undergrad office hours where you only attend if you have questions. Students are highly encouraged to attend, and those that are strong and bright students regularly attend each week. But not only do we support you in addressing questions you may have about the course materials and deliverables and expectations, but faculty make themselves available to you about professional growth and development. I think Dr. Stagel and I, even just today, we get a ton of emails just constantly about professional growth. I'm looking for internships. What do you think I should do about this? Can you review my resume? Can you give me some advice about this? And we're always trying to find ways to support you, whether it's in the classroom or outside the classroom, and giving you access to different talks that are available, again, to doctoral and master students, as well as tailored just for you in the monthly call. So lots of access to faculty and their experiences and expertise. We actually have done a benchmark survey. We are competitively priced for, respectable master's degrees. And again, you want to do your research when you're out there. One of the things that I get very worried about, and I have an article coming out this summer about it, but there are predatory programs out there, and it's very important that you understand and distinguish the two. There are many out there who are willing to take your money, but you will not walk away with the skill set that you need to be successful in the market. So it is essential that you understand what PSYOP, even they put out, do the research. The professional association has an education training guidelines, and you're welcome to take a look at the course offerings we have and the expectations we have, and you'll see that they match those guidelines that are set by the professional association. We aim to be flexible, and so that, as mentioned, while we have many hybrid opportunities and live opportunities, we really strive to be flexible to meet the needs that you have with your work-life demands. And we understand. So, the course is sort of preset and it's asynchronous, and you can facilitate your way through the program using that format. But again, those who are most successful are tuning in to as many of these live interactions and sessions as possible, and are highly encouraged to do so. And Dr. Stego and I can tell you now, doing this for 4 or 5 years, that we can tell the difference between the students who are taking advantage of those opportunities, and you'll be able to have that competitive edge when you are doing your interviews and seeking employment opportunities outside the program. And finally, you can reach out to the admissions team who'll connect you to the financial aid office, and to talk about some programs and support systems through there, as well as several career services. Several of our students not only get their resume and so forth looked at by us, but they do seek the services of the university career services, through resume reviews and interviewing. Any questions, thoughts, or comments? It's a quiet group, or sometimes I keep looking at my chat and thinking the chat feature is not working.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm getting some direct messages. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just I'm from Arizona. I'm Frida, and I am actually going to be moving to Oregon with a couple of friends. I'm just looking for a life change right now, and I'm excited to be applying. So you mentioned that we can do this program asynchronously, and obviously would love to join for live classes or interactions. What would those times be, or does that differ week by week or something? Because obviously there's that time zone difference. So just want to make sure that that's still in line, obviously, with everything.
Dr. Stegel, you want to take that one?
I can take that one. This week I hosted 2 meetings of office hours. One was for an East Coast contingent, and actually for anybody who wants to come to both. And the second one was offset. So we start at 7 on Monday because of the way the summer works. We had to start early in this particular semester. But we started at 7 on Monday Eastern, and then 8:30 on Tuesday Eastern. And so this week we did about 5 hours of office hours. It's the toughest week of the course, and that's why we're there so much of the course. Now, that's not everyone attends that, but we review the module with you each week and answer your questions. And we also post videos in case you can't make it to office hours. You're able to access those videos and review their overview and the assignments and what other people might be asking on camera. But we also have multiple components, elements of this off camera. So we are hosting some of us presentations and guest speakers, learning games, and what we call serious games, activities. Like last night we did a midterm review as well as a self-test, several presentations. The night before we had a guest speaker from the Department of State. And so there's multiple activities that aren't on camera for you to review. And that's the extra bonus if you're actually in office hours. And you're welcome to attend both events if you'd like, or just one. And it's really flexible to what you want to accomplish and how. But the videos will overview the major assignments and activities for the week. So just in case you can't make it, you're always covered. And we're going to encourage you and help you seed study groups based on your research interest. And that peer learning component is also very valuable to this experience. I see we have a couple questions finally. Jasmine, go ahead, please.
Hi, I just had a clarifying question. I know you said like 7 or 8:30. Do you mean AM or PM?
Oh, they're in the evening post. The program is generally designed for working professionals. And so even when we host at 7, I give a few minutes to warm up and people to chat amongst themselves so they're not racing out of parking lots. And I'm there for a couple hours. We're typically there for an extended period of time. So even if you couldn't make it at the beginning, it's optional. You can come in later during the event and still ask your question. And even if I'm doing a presentation, I would stop and answer your weekly question. So it's not rigid as in the sense you have to check in and check out. You're going to be working this around your professional schedule, and we encourage you to work so you can generalize and reinforce your lessons from the program.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Lori?
All right. So my question is related to those of us who are currently working or not working. I retired from my business, or my company. I just got tired of it and started my own business. And I decided to go back to school because this is what I'm interested in, right? This is really what I should have been doing. Will I be left behind or kind of be in a space where I'm not able to do some of the work because I'm my own business, like it's just me, like I don't have an organization to maybe follow up with anymore or to look at how we're working because it's just me?
So we will have to stay in tighter coordination and work through a few of the projects, particularly during the second course. But I assume as you have ample work experience, you have business contacts elsewhere. And some of the basic studies that we would do during the second course would rely on some of those business contacts. But no, and we have sole proprietors and other executives that are in similar positions as small business leaders and or large business leaders. And so we would work with you and flexibly tailor an approach that you would be able to accomplish based on your current situation.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And you're right. I know a ton of people, so I can just always go back to them too, if needed. So thank you.
Lori, I just want to remind you that it really does take a village. And one of my favorite memories of the program is we graduate students 3 times a year, and we have a virtual graduation celebration as well as the in-person graduation celebration. And the virtual one we always do because it's more intimate. We get to invite the graduates, their family, their friends, and the professors. And every single semester you have friends and family members that are like, I'm so glad this person's graduating and now I won't have to fill out another survey again or give another example again. But no, they really do enjoy it though. They do talk about how much they learn through those interactions. And so you do have a community of people who are still working that you can tap into, and you have your peers. So in the research methods practicum course, you are not asked to do the practicum project by yourself. You're in groups of 3. And so that way, if you are trying to collect data, say like 150 participants, everyone's just doing 50 each or so, because we do talk about getting enough power and having what power analysis looks like and things like that. But we do try to facilitate ways for you not to just be left hanging. When, like Dr. Stagel said, lots of coordination, but it's not impossible. It's done by many others.
Okay. All right. That was my main concern. Okay. Thank you.
I'll just add to that the inverse is true as well. We have students, our modal students, a little bit more work experience than the typical graduate student. I think we're 7+ years on average, but there are students with no work experience who come straight from undergrad, and we also craft a plan, an individualized learning sequence for them, and we address their project concerns, and we work with them to find, ample sandboxes to work in, and we team them with more experienced people. And so you shouldn't feel concerned if you have less experience and you're coming from right from undergrad.
Yeah. All right. I think I saw Abina's hand next.
Hi, yes, my name is Abina, and so I had a quick question, and essentially going around, how do the projects and assignments tend to look like?
So that's a great question. To kind of come back to what Frida was asking earlier, so every week in our learning management system, you'll actually have the whole course laid out on the very first day. So you know how like you won't have to wait until what's coming up in week 3, week 4. We do want you to obviously take it week by week because material builds on each other, but you'll have the entire course pre-built and developed, laid out for you on the very first day. And every single week, in a given week, you'll have an introduction message. You'll have an introduction video. It'll talk about the weekly objectives. And then it's broken through where you'll have your learning resources, which are often your textbook readings, journal articles, videos, supplemental learning. This is how you're learning the information. And then some practice exercises that's not graded. So if you want to be like, do I really understand what I'm doing? Let me take this self-graded quiz to see if I get what I'm doing. But we don't look at that at all. And then you have some application assignments. And these application assignments could be short writing assignments or short parts of larger deliverables like projects and things like that. And then finally, we have a knowledge check quiz. That is like, a short multiple choice quiz that you all are taking that's like timed and it's like, do you understand what we were covering that week? But the projects, every class does have different types of projects, but like, for example, in the selection class, you'll do a job analysis project, right? Where you really need to create up a job description for an individual, can do some research, collect some data, do some interviews, and then write up that job analysis. Then other projects, there's also validation project in there. And then I talked a little bit about the research methods practicum. So there's a ton of ways, and some of them you do by yourself, and others you do in small teams. And just be aware that whatever you're doing, all the directions, instructions, everything's laid out. So I know Frida was really concerned, like, what if you can't join the one office hour? You're not going to be left hanging dry. Everything you need to know and be successful is already built into the learning management system. But of course, to help enhance your understanding, and you learn with each other, you coming to office hours, you're talking to the faculty member and so forth. Does that help provide some more clarity on how the class is set up?
Yes, that's perfect, especially with it being online and still being able to get relationships. That's amazing.
Okay, great. And then I think
Thank you.
I saw Tony next, and then Jared, and then we'll try to.
Yeah, so I had a question as far as like admissions go. I just wanted to confirm. So, is it a possibility that I can apply for the fall semester, which I'm not mistaken, the deadline is July 1st. Is it a possibility like if I apply for the fall semester and I'm like I change my mind, I want to start in the spring, and like say I get in, like is it possible that I defer to the spring, or would I have to reapply for the spring semester?
Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can defer.
Yes, and also the deadline for our fall term is August 15th.
Oh, okay.
So July's a little early.
Yes, so July is, I was shaking my head no. So
Okay, I thought it said
August,
July 1st somewhere.
no, so August, the website sometimes has the wrong dates.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, so August 15th, start date August 26th, but we work on a rolling admission. So the sooner that you apply, the sooner you can get a decision. If you get admitted to the fall, you can defer your enrollment for an entire year. So you can defer till fall 2025, or the spring or the summer, but you can only defer once. And again, you have the ability to defer for an entire year. So yeah. And again, August 15th.
August 15th. That's what I was looking at. I think Dr. Stigl and I were looking at each other. That's early. We look at decisions all the way up to the end.
Yeah.
But Tony, we'd love to have you earlier if possible, but we do understand life circumstances. We want you to be best set up for success. So whatever that looks like personally and professionally for you and your, timeline, we're here and we'd love to support you. Jared.
Hey, good evening. This is Jared coming out of Northwest Florida. I actually had a couple questions. The first one is kind of where do you see a majority of students kind of geared toward after the program, as far as like where they tend to work, et cetera. And then in regard to like systems that you guys utilize in the program for like data analytics.
Dr. Stigl, you want to take that?
Yes, so I was just going to pull the actual last cohort as you were answering, but we have 3 people from the Pentagon in the current cohort, 1 that's just retired, 2 more that are in the DoD, 3 that are in high-end private sector positions, and some that are in nonprofits. And then I would say a handful that have relatively less experience, but are learning as they go. And I work with all students in their vocational guidance, and so it's not just instruction. We're gonna take a personal interest in your development and trajectory. So where'd you go? There you are. So you'll send me a resume. We'll work on that, and we'll talk about where the fit is and where you can think about a broad trichotomization right now as the federal government is a major employer of IOs. large private sector entities and mid-sized private sector entities. And I would put, research institutes slash nonprofits, and there are quite a few of those. Mason has a stellar reputation, and their PhD students have been, for the last 4 decades, have been going out and securing positions. So they're globally situated right now all over the world. And we have our own 300 plus alums are approaching that. And many of our students are working. So we're going to try to introduce you as many of those students as possible, connect you. We serve as intermediaries to make those initial links, but eventually we're going to get you to various events and communities of practice that we built. There's a brand new community of practice. I know you were mentioning about the DoD. There's a brand new community of practice for military members here, led by one of our new adjuncts who is at the Pentagon right now. And so he leads that. It's a very large group of 30 plus people that have already joined it. They've just had their first meeting, and it's expanding rapidly. It just got started. So it's going to expand rapidly. So we will talk about all the different potential prototypical, archetypical career paths, as well as the first assignment during the first course is about exploring different work opportunities and comparing yourself, benchmarking to actual job requirements in these different opportunities, and developing an individual development plan, including how the courses will help you close the gap to get to where you want to be at work. And you'll study a career lattice and different levels and different hierarchical levels of positions, and not just positions at where you're at now, but where you want to go.
And Jared, one thing I want to share with you and everyone is I tell folks, like, don't just take it for us from our mouths. One place to look at is we actually have an IO newsletter. And so if you go to the ION, I put the link in there, you can click the spring, the latest edition, and we go back years and years. So if you want to even look at the last 5 years, where are the MPS students going? So you'll see, welcome. And this is, again, we'll include information about the MPS program. We welcome our cohorts. But where you want to go is you want to scroll all the way down. And, well, it's in different spots. Where is it? Where's my good news corner? There we go. Our good news corner. So here you have where folks are getting jobs. And so if it says MPS cohort, that's when they're graduating from this specific program. There's also PhD, MA, but we really encourage our folks to tell us where they're going, where they're working, what they're doing. And so this is a great place to look at. And like I said, you'll have years and years of data to learn where folks are working at. So I encourage you to check it out.
And we just updated the website as well. So you should be able to see a list of employers that our students are currently at, or at least a subset. And then I will share a much more extensive list during week 1. Yep. And you'll see some of the major names and what their, what their titles are. And we want to connect with you. We want you to connect with them. And we're gonna make those introductions for you, make it easier for you. And people from different cohorts are going to come in and speak each week, and they're going to introduce you to what their thinking is and where they work at. And so you're going to get to meet people from the prior cohorts that are currently active as well.
All right, so I want to get to a couple of the questions in the chat real quick, and then we'll start wrapping up our portion so that you guys can hear from the students and alumna. So some questions in the chat. Do the campus programs have the option for concentration in psychology as well? I'm not, Anissa, I don't know if you can say anything out loud. I'm not sure if I understand, because the master,
I think she private direct message. I think that she meant that if there was a campus program for MPS and IO psychology, and if there isn't, is there like a IO psych or a psychology campus similar to the online?
If someone's looking for in-person options, we do have the MA, the Masters of Arts, and you can look into that. And on the website, and maybe something you can share, Casey, is we do have a table that we've worked on creating so that folks can learn about the similarities and differences between the MA and MPS programs. So that might be a good resource. The difference between a full-time and part-time schedule. So this is a great question, Melanie. If you are taking, so students will typically take 2 classes a semester. You are not taking more than that, because again, it's very, remember I said it was 8 weeks long for one class. And if you guys can put your thinking caps on and remember, back in undergrad, classes were 15 weeks. So now we have about 130, there's requirements that need to be met. So 135 hours of course requirements in 8 weeks means you're spending about 20 hours a week on, coursework. So we really do not have students taking two classes at the same time. You are taking one class at a time, and they are built in a sequential order on purpose. And so you'll first take, the introduction to the IO psychology, then you'll take worksite. Like there's a way and pattern that we have it built out. So you're not taking 4 or 5 classes or 3 classes or anything like that. Part-time, it gets a little tricky if you try to take one class a semester, because you would miss the next 8 weeks plus the first 8 weeks to get back, or you'd have to play around with the schedule because the classes again are offered in a way, fall session 1, fall session 2. So if you skip fall session 2, you're coming back in spring session 2, because that's when the class is going to be offered again. So it gets a little tricky, but do we work with folks? We absolutely do. If they're only able to take one class, but it's really not going to be great for your learning curve and just sort of keeping up the momentum. The flexibility within each 8-week rotation. So you are not typically seeing folks do 2-3 weeks of work on a go. I mean, some people might work ahead if they have a big work trip or something like that coming up. But as I mentioned, information builds on each other. There's flexibility within a given week, and then you have a deliverable due Sunday. But once we get to the student time, I'm gonna have Alex and others speak a little bit more about that and sort of their strategies as they planned, maybe around, there are people that take vacations and work trips and things like that. There's a lot of coordination and planning that goes into that, but it's not impossible. All right. With that, let me make sure, here's a little bit about the curriculum. So as I mentioned, those, we have a required set of courses that you're taking in a particular order, and then you have a set of electives that you're taking at the end. And they are built in a certain way, right? They are, following a certain sequence. So it's very important that you follow that sequence. A lot of times we get information about the practicum course. So the practicum course is built in with the research methods course. So it's a course that'll take 16 weeks if you're in the fall or spring, or 14 weeks if you're in the summer, but you're building a research proposal and identifying a workplace problem, building a research proposal, collecting some data, analyzing, and your final deliverables are a full academic paper, white paper, and presentation. But I just wanted to show this a little bit so that folks don't get all worried, because sometimes they hear the word practicum and they think, do I need to quit my job and do an internship or a practicum? And the answer is no. You are doing what you're doing in the workplace and sort of combining it with the learning in the program. We talked briefly a little bit about the career outcomes already, and that was a great question that was posed. And again, I showed you guys the newsletter, but that's a great place to check out. Some professional development opportunities we've already alluded to. You have your coursework, and you're going to take advantage of those office hours and engagement with your peers and faculty. We have monthly calls where you get to connect with Dr. Stagel and I, because this isn't the only time we're going to answer questions from you. We are there for you in our office hours, but also monthly we make ourselves available to you all to answer questions, provide support. I had someone, as I mentioned, asking for some professional guidance. And I said, come to the monthly call. I'm leading the June monthly call, and I'm happy to share it, not just with you, but everyone on the call, because these are going to be great tips for everybody. We invite guests. A lot of times we invite recruiters to come speak. We have learning series that are featured during the academic year in the fall and spring. And those are talks that are open to all faculty, alumni, current students in the PhD, MA, and MPS programs. They're during lunch hour typically. So we encourage you all, if you're able to take a lunch break, but you get to hear from amazing thought leaders of the field that get invited. I'm talking about cutting edge research. They do not record this because they don't want some of those research information getting taken before it's getting published, but you really, they're setting up some great panels this summer. I know I just sent out an email to the alumni listserv, and some great folks are already responding and signing up for those panels. What is it like starting your own consulting business and things like that. Then you have the university career services, and we connect you to external opportunities. We're constantly, all the faculty will send you job opportunities, internship opportunities for consulting competitions. Sometimes we internally think we send too many emails, but my take is that, hey, we get you all the information opportunities out there. It's up to you if you want to take advantage of them or avail them. It works for some and not for others, and that's your choice. But you have a ton of opportunities when you're in the program with us. Anything else? Dr. Stagel.
Yes, ma'am. I would just add that this is the major benefit, and I want to emphasize it. This isn't a one-off while you're here at Mason. We have alums, even from the PhD, that 20 years ago, come back and be at these top talks by the top consultants and top academicians all around the world. And you have access to this and the career services for the rest of your career. So this isn't a one-off thing. These talks will be directly beneficial, some subset to wherever you work at. And literally you can tap into this and benefit from it, leverage this expertise the rest of your career.
All right, so with that, instead of just sharing a quote, we'd like to turn it over to some of our speakers here for the last 15 minutes so that you all have the opportunity to ask your questions, thoughts, or comments. And Casey will sort of, wrap up, remind you all that in the admissions process, you want to make sure you get your information in if you're considering the program. But when we turn it over to the student guest speakers, Dr. Stegel and I pop off so that you guys can ask any questions freely without being worried that we're going to remember your name when we're reviewing your applications, any of that. But no, seriously, we want you to ask all your questions that you have to our alumni and students because we want you to get that information. But before we hop off, I know we had some good questions going. Is there anything else that Dr. Stegel and I can answer before we leave? No?
And you have some top people in this room tonight to answer
I have
too.
a question.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay. I guess one question that I have is what made you both come into this field, or what has been your favorite part to remain in it and actually like teach other people like us to learn to love it?
Oh, you're gonna get me all emotional. Okay, do you want me to start, Dr. Stagel? For me, like a lot of people who declare their major psychology, I was like, oh, the cliche word, I want to help people. I thought that I was limited to clinical and counseling. And when I learned about industrial organizational psychology, I was blown away that I could have an impact at such a larger scale. I'm like, it's not going to be just the one walking into the office seeking clinical or counseling services. It's everybody. Everybody has to work, or your partner has to work. Somebody has to work in your household to support you. And I can make a difference in organizations and in people's lives, and their work matters. They spend 40 or more hours with people in their organizations, and that definitely bleeds over into their personal lives, and it just matters so much. And I was really excited about the field of industrial organizational psychology because I knew about the impact. And I'll tell you that in terms of being an academic program director, professor, it's really being able to see that impact through you all. It's teaching, it's seeing those aha moments in the office hours, seeing those curious questions and cameras on, but then also seeing the journey and then seeing you across the finish line, at graduation. But then that's not it. We get to, again, I was at the PsyOp conference and I had so many people that were alumni from the program running up and telling me about all the amazing things that they're doing now in their organizations. And we get blown away, like that all this impact just continues in the circular way. And it makes it very meaningful. And that's sort of why I do what I do.
I have the same story. I think most IOs probably do. It's watching you all grow and develop. I was fascinated by assessment, as an undergrad, and I wanted to be a psychiatrist. So I interned at an acute stabilization center, and I was there about 6 months, and I realized I wasn't having the impact I thought I was going to have. These facilities are often not as funded as well as they should be for the communities, and you see the same people sometimes repeatedly, and you're trying your very best to help children or adults with severe problems, and it's very difficult sometimes. And so I transitioned into a more general assessment-based position, and immediately was hooked on the power of IO and what it could do for people who are invested in their own development and change. And so that was 30 years ago, and here it is, or almost, and here it is now. And it's still about students and the relationships that you're gonna connect and make here in the program, and that'll bond you and form teams and groups that are just, you can amplify your effects through the power of those collectives, and that's why I study team performance, and that's why I'm an IO.
Frida, thank you so much for that question because
Yeah, that was a tricky one. I didn't expect that.
no, but I really appreciate it because you're sort of ending us before we log off on the note that it's all about community and the people. And that's why we encourage you all to turn on the cameras. We will have our cameras on. Make ourselves available. I mean, Dr. Stagel and I, we sometimes give out our numbers and we're texting with our students. Not that we're expecting that from you, but we are invested in you all. Like it is not like you're in this online program and don't see the people and hear the people and feel the people. You're valued here. You're part of this community. And you know, Alex, I think, got all my text message graduation pictures and she was able to distribute it to the cohort because I was like, it's on my phone. I don't know if I'm going to be able to email it out to everybody. And it really is a community. And I hope that you're able to pick up on a little bit of it tonight. And if not, continue reading the IO newsletter and you'll see a ton of pictures. I take a lot of pictures. And you'll hear it from yourself, from Alex and Hannah. So with that, Alex and Hannah, I turn the group over to you all. So please, while Dr. Stagel and I, log off, introduce yourselves. And I know you guys are in great hands with Hannah and Alex.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Ahmad, and thank you, Dr. Stagel, for joining us tonight.
All right, thanks.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Stagel. Bye, Dr. Ahmad. It was good to see you.
Good to see you, Dr.
See you
Stagel.
soon, Alex.
I'll see you on Monday, Hannah. All right. Bye.
Hi, guys. This is really, really exciting. I actually just graduated, so I know that right now you're like about to embark on this really exciting adventure. You're probably maybe a little nervous. You're probably wondering, what am I getting myself into? But thank you. Sharnita, am I saying that right? You guys are going to love it. It's a fantastic program. I probably can't describe in words how much I took from this program. You learn a lot about yourself. You grow and learn as a team member, really lean on your cohort. You're going to make friends forever. And then you're really going to be well prepared to go out and make real change in the world. So I'm excited for you guys. Hannah, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm still in the program. So I'm cohort 13. I'm actually in the I started last, I guess, summer really, and I'm in the practicum now, or research methods, and then practicum starts in a couple weeks, but they're they go together. And yeah, it's been an really incredible experience so far and is continuing to be. You really can get, I mean, like any kind of school, I think what you get out of it is correlated to what you put into it. But you can get, there's so many opportunities to get out, just so much, like more opportunity than you can reasonably take advantage of, which is great. Even if you're able to take advantage of a lot of things, and that is coming also even from me. I know someone mentioned that they're on the West Coast, moving up to Oregon, and I'm in California, so happy to talk more about that if you want. For me, it was really, I have a STEM background, my undergrad, and it was important to me to find a program that was rigorous and as STEM accredited and rigorous in that same way, and had me kind of working with some data too, and so that was also is present in the program. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. There's just been so many things. Alex and I have met. We know each other. we
We do. I love her.
We're not in the same cohort. We managed to connect that way because through calls like our monthly call, and then we both went to PsyOp, and then we're able to connect that way. So I didn't know she was going to be here now, so just to give you an idea.
Oh, that's awesome.
Happy to answer whatever questions you might all have.
Ask away, not everyone at once, please.
Someone raised their hand. Jared.
Hey, Jared.
Hey, good evening. I wanted to ask about kind of like the data and the data methods used in the curriculum. Like what systems do you guys typically use?
So for like data analytics, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll learn all about SPSS, so IBM. And then your second course of data analytics will be mainly focused on R, which I know whenever I was first taking both those courses, That was something I was really nervous about. I love statistics, but I knew it was going to be very challenging, right? Especially in a truncated, 8-week class. But the materials that the professors use, the way that they lay out the course, it's really manageable. You really can like if you spend some time with the materials, you're going to do really well. So yeah, that's the 2 programs that you'll mainly be using. You do a little bit of Excel too, but
Thank you.
of course.
I have a
And
question.
Abina?
Go ahead, Abena.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Abna. So I had a question for the both of y'all. So what do y'all plan on doing with IO after, since you just graduated? Congratulations. And then Hannah as well. What do you plan on doing?
Hannah, you want to take this one first and then I'll go?
Sure. So currently I work as the administrative director and chief of DEI for a small traffic engineering consulting firm. So some of, IO stuff I do now, that's not, my role isn't like an IO practitioner, role necessarily, like in title necessarily, but there's, things that I was already doing and things that I have done through, while working, in this program. Like there've definitely been things that are applicable, whether that comes, is, doing a little bit more robust job analysis, before you write, or review, job descriptions to, so, setting up, hoping, I'm a huge fan of structured interviews, so like I've always used those, but in a recent version, went a little further in terms of the materials we use and like the rubrics we use for those. Using certain behaviorally anchored scales, stuff like that you'll learn about, or even, developing, we're a small firm, so there's a lot of things that like don't work for us, like that we can't, really plug and play things that, are developed or, so there's a lot of opportunity. That said, I am really interested in kind of the organizational, effectiveness and then also transformation spheres. And so that's the area I personally would like to be able to work more fully in that sphere rather than only a part of my day job, as it were. So if that answers your question.
Yeah, that's super cool. Thank you.
Right, I can't type and talk at the same time, so give me 1 second.
No problem.
Just putting my email in the chat for anybody who feels like they don't have enough time tonight. If you want to connect at any point, please feel free to reach out. But so the question was, what do I plan to do now with IO? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So I currently work in training and development at a nonprofit organization here in Northern Virginia. So I think that IO definitely lends itself well to training and development. That is something that almost every organization across all kinds of organizations are really beefing up, right? Because training is so important for literally everything that an employee does throughout their life cycle. That being said, I have been kind of doing a little bit of job crafting and taking a little bit of a brave step to kind of advocate for a higher position with a little bit more responsibility, just because I'm ready to kind of flex these new skills and get those working. So I am actually moving into a manager of employee engagement at my nonprofit organization. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's super cool. You really get to see the fruits of your labor. I know that there are a lot of jobs out there that you're grinding day in and day out, and you might not be able to see that, tangibly. But with IO, I really feel like you get to actually see the difference that you make in, the experience of the employees around you. And I feel like that's really valuable. Like Dr. Ahmad said, we spend way too much time at work for it to be terrible. I think that it's just a really great opportunity that you guys are all embarking on, and I'm really excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Questions galore. Who's next?
I think Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, I just had a question. So, I'm interested in both like industrial organizational psychology and like human resources management, so like HR. So I was wondering, do you guys know what the main like distinguishes and similarities are between the two, and like how do they like what's the overall like view on both of them? Like, what's your advice on both of them?
So, all right, here's kind of my take on that. And Hannah, I hope that you can chime in as well. I feel like they're not all that different, especially in today's age. We're really moving towards science-based, evidence-based work solutions. So you're going to see that in HR. You're going to see that as an IO. Um, you're going to be set up well for both. I would say go IO. I might be a little biased. I'm actually very biased, but definitely go IO. And that'll set you up really well for any kind of HR position, right? And then you can also lean on that and maybe really use that kind of research and your ability to take complex information and make it accessible to a larger audience. That's really what you're going to be doing in HR anyways. So you'll get a little bit of both, I think. Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, I get I have the same bias. I think there's a lot of overlap. There's going to be a lot of people, who are like in my program, my cohort, and I think other cohorts who are in HR or HR managers. There's a lot of overlap. IO just does come from that kind of evidence-based, um, you know, kind of more STEM approach, and which I think is hopefully a growing trend, in the in the HR sphere. It certainly seems like it, and then it's also going to there's certain things that are going to, prepare you, if you are going into like HR management. It's nice to be able to feel comfortable understanding data and understanding, the kind of where that data is coming from, what it means, and being able to, talk with analysts or talk with senior leaders, being able to come from this kind of perspective, I think helps with all that strategically.
Yeah. And just to jump in on that, I know from an admission standpoint, a lot of students, like you mentioned, either going into the program or coming out of the program, get into HR management, and things like that as well. So it is definitely a merge of the two.
Mm-hmm. Go
ahead. Go ahead, Christy.
I don't know if this personally applies to either one of you, or maybe you, if not, if you have been in the cohort with someone where it does, but I'm trying to get an honest perspective about the program from someone who works full-time and has children. I know it's a huge time commitment, and don't hold back. I'm one of those types who thinks like I can do it all the things all at the same time, and still stay married. And so please be honest. I'm just trying to figure out if it's feasible, or if I, should back off a little bit with the big dreams for now. I've got kids of several age ranges, so just looking for that perspective from a parent.
I will take this one. I actually had a baby while in this program. Yes. So I brought my daughter into the world during this program, and then I also have a 6-year-old son. So they keep me plenty busy. And you know what? I will never tell you to reel your dreams back in. Like please do it. The thing about this program that I found, it feels natural. You have seen the types of things that you're going to learn in here. You have experienced it likely in other, jobs that you've held. It just really gives you kind of the science behind it and a vocabulary to describe the things that you are already seeing. So I feel like it's absolutely manageable. What I would do is try my best to plan out my weeks ahead of time. Really focus on the reading in the first half of the week, because I'm going to tell you guys, it's a lot of reading. There's a lot. And don't skip out on that, because it's really important. You'll take so much more away from the program if you just buckle down and do the reading. So I would do like Monday through Wednesday or Thursday if I was feeling a little lazy that week, to do the reading, and then try to start in on my assignments through the weekend. But I know plenty of other people from my cohort who were rocking out their assignments in the beginning of the week, and they had children as well. So I think it just depends on how quickly you take in information, how much time you need to process, what your schedule looks like, how long it takes you to write up things. But I mean, if you'll find your groove, and it's going to be lovely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great question. All right, Melanie, I'm just going by who's on my top here.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for like having this time and space for us to be asking these questions. I do have a question though when it comes to like the practicum or an internship, whichever one y'all chose to do. How was it like during your program, and how do you think it like well matriculated into your career as of right now?
Hannah, do you want to? Well, you're still in. Okay.
Sorry, I was answering someone's.
No, you're good. You're good. So my biggest advice with practicum is choose your group wisely. You'll meet your cohort, right? You're going to really get to know one another. Try your best in the classes that come up to practicum to really work with a lot of different people. That way you can, find who your work style works well with, people that you share similar interests with, so that you can really collaborate well on practicum. I will say, research methods and practicum, it's a tough one. Particularly, I thought the first half of research methods was a doozy, because there's a lot of lit review, and oh my God, I thought my eyes were going to start bleeding by the end of that. I know Hannah, she'll probably share some in a moment about research methods, so I won't do a spoiler right now, but definitely choose who you work with wisely. I'm not sure about an internship. I don't think that was an option for the MPS program, at least that I know of. Is that correct?
I'm not aware. Maybe it's something I wasn't aware of it, I guess. So, the practicum is definitely kind of like the research methods, and practicum is kind of like the capstone research project. So I don't think they would encourage you to do it, but maybe if there was something else you had going on, you're like, oh, I have this opportunity, they'd probably work with you, because they seem to want to do that with, to really want to make it so students get the most out of this, program as possible. Yeah, I agree though. Choosing a group, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say choosing based on what you want to do. And there are a lot of constraints given the timing of how quick, like this isn't a dissertation as much as you might want it to be. You only have a semester basically. But there are other group projects that happen in the course. There's at least two before then. So, and they involve a team charter. I recommend you do that. So you get in the practice. It sounds kind of, when you first come across that idea, it sounds kind of like, oh, do I really need a team charter? Yeah, you do. Yeah. You go through that. And so to Alex's point about, trying to work with people who are similar to you, like who want similar things from the process, like not everyone wants the same things out of something, or who have a similar working style, or, and making sure you're just explicit about those types of expectations will really make, I think, the process a lot better, and the whole, the learning experience and everything a lot better throughout. Because yeah, there are some, especially in the beginning, I think, from what I understand, I haven't finished the whole process. The more you do in the initial to really line things up and tee things up, the more manageable it becomes later, because if that's your theory, if you got, underpinning what you're doing, you do a really lit review, which is just a heavy lift, no matter what, then I think it really pays off. And I'm still in the research methods section, which is the first 8, or in my case, 7 weeks. The 8 weeks thing is condensed by a week. So it's a little extra challenging in the summer, but it's already paying off. My group is already kind of seeing that, having really we started working together a little bit ahead of the course starting to kind of get into what we wanted to do. So it's definitely paying off.
I know Charles had a question.
Okay. Can I answer one more?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
A second half of that question. How does that apply in the work setting? My group did do job demands predict turnover? So essentially, does the makeup of a job, the way that the tasks that you have, the autonomy that you have in your work, your ability to be involved in decision making, do those things predict the level of turnover within the organization? And is it mediated or explained by a level of respect? And I actually gave that work straight over to my company as soon as we were done with Practicum. I was like, hey, please look at this. And I think that you can do that with any kind of topic that you guys look into in terms of Practicum. So I would definitely, lean into your passion as far as what topics really speak to you, what topics you see are most prevalent to you in your workplace now, where you're at, or maybe past workplaces that you've been in. And then you can really see, be able to say, hey, here's all this research that we've done. Here's what we found. How can we take this and apply it in this workplace now? Or how can we use this to create some new processes, or, whatever it lends itself to, essentially.
Okay, Charles, go ahead.
Sorry, I can't find the button anywhere, so my Mac's winning tonight. My question is, right, human interaction. How much human interaction is in the class? What I mean by that is, if I have a question or I'm stuck on something or I'm trying to get through something, is there someone I can ask a question to and talk to? I know they talked about office hours. I'm not so familiar with that. But yeah, that's my question. So how much human interaction am I gonna get help if I need it from somebody?
Constant human interaction, like constant. My cohort had a group me, we had a Slack channel, then we really siloed into the group me because that's where everybody was. There's different channels that people will create for specific classes, especially when you get to your electives, because you might not be all in the same electives, but you really, what you put in is what you get out. You will have other people in your cohort who want to put in the same amount of effort that you do, and you will have ample time to lean on each other, ask each other questions, brainstorm, think tank, all of those things. The community that I came away with from here is remarkable. Yeah, and I owe a lot to them in terms of the success that I had in the program as well. So I think that as long as somebody is brave enough to start the group me channel, then you guys will have, that community as well.
Yeah, agree. We don't, our program doesn't have group me, but we, I was that person who created the Slack channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so not everybody's in there, they're all invited. I think most of them found it, but some people, there's a core number of people, usually the same people who show up in office hours, who are kind of more, active, and you have small group, just direct, threads or direct chats that you have too. But then also when it comes to instructors, office hours, I definitely think, going to those is very, very fruitful. You really get to know your professors and the other people who show up there. But then also there's professors respond to emails really fast. There's also within like the learning system, their management system, there's, ask the instructor, which, I think sends them an email notification. People are usually responding in less than 24 hours. I'm not really sure that all of our professors have the best work-life balance in terms of boundaries for themselves, but they love what they do. So yeah. There's being out here in California, that was definitely a concern of mine. I was very eager, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for interaction.
Thanks.
And how many people are usually in a cohort? Would you guys say?
I'm just making a guess here. We started with, I want to say like 30 or 40, and then maybe ended with about 25.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 30, 40.
Ours has been hovering around 20, 17 to 20, usually 18 to 20, probably for the whole time. And, some people, they have a cross-country move, they drop out into the next cohort. We've had some, and then people kind of appear in our cohort doing a similar kind of thing. But yeah, we've hovered, but again, I started in summer, and I believe that cohort tends to be smaller.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Jared, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, and this would be my last question. I wanted to see about the correlations with this program with like executive coaching. If you guys have experience with executive coaching or team coaching, and then if so, how well this program may help, or what things would you recommend on top of the program if executive coaching was something I was interested in?
Good question. I need a minute to think. Hannah, do you have any immediate thoughts?
My immediate thoughts is, I mean, I'm not sure if anyone's tracking that, you know, in admissions or in the program necessarily in terms of like how many people are doing executive coaching. I would say there are a number of people. So a lot of the, you know, Professor Stagel in his office hours, sometimes the monthly meetings, they'll have guest speakers. And these are people who like generally are like from the network of the professors. So they might have done their PhDs together or whatever. So there's a fair amount of consultants who have created their own business. You know, they might have done something for 20 years and then decided, you know, I'm just going to do this myself. And I would say a fair amount of them do executive coaching. So I couldn't speak to that myself, you know, like you know, as much as I might do a little bit of coaching, like that's not what my role is, like in a nutshell. But there's, you know, you're going to be between, you know, going to, if you go to PSYOP or something like that, you know, there's going to be sessions talking about like training. I went to a session this year at PSYOP conference in Chicago on, that was talking about training, teaching leaders how to coach, which is not exactly what you're talking about, but is related. Really interesting. But then like, you know, you can get in contact with the people who are actually doing that work also. So it doesn't directly answer your question, but it's
I think I'm
absolutely
about to do the same thing here. I'm not in coaching, just much like Hannah. I do training, which, you know, I think that there's definitely some crossover there. In terms of coursework that may benefit your efforts in coaching, I think that you could take a lot of the lessons that you're going to learn in class, whether it's group dynamics or scheduling or finding ways that have helped you achieve your goals within the program, or ways that you have interacted with your peers and built them up. You can apply all of those kinds of lessons in a coaching environment. In terms of executive coaching, the way that the courses are set up in the projects, you do a lot of presentations, right? So at the end of almost all the courses, you're going to do some kind of video presentation. And I feel like that was great practice for me, at least, in terms of the way that now I have more confidence in presenting my ideas to the executives within my organization. Additionally, like Hannah said, PSYOP this year had a ton of sessions on coaching, one of which I went to, and it had some really great nuggets of, you know, people's experience. And it wasn't just, you know, from one type of organization. They have, you know, specialists from all different types of areas. So if you guys can make PSYOP happen, I highly recommend it. I wasn't able to go the first year, but I went this year and it was amazing. So I think that additionally, looking into a coaching certification, I mean, that's not going to hurt, right? And then you can kind of use this wealth of knowledge that you've already built within the program and then just kind of perfect it with that coaching certification. So that's what maybe I would, the advice I would give to you. But I mean, you can learn a ton on LinkedIn Learning. I mean, Google Scholar, like you have information at your fingertips, right? So you can also do a little self-study on some executive coaching and go ahead and get some of those ideas and theories and techniques under your belt.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Christy, your hand's up. Go
ahead. Yeah, I think Sarah asked a similar question in the chat, and I apologize if it was addressed and I somehow missed it. But were there other, particularly for me, I'm curious to know if there were other online IO master's programs that either of you considered when applying, in addition to GMU, and if so, I don't need to necessarily know what they were, but what made you zero in on Mason?
How is that over?
Do what?
You want to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. So I actually, whenever I first started at CRI, which is where I work, I had a coworker named Kother, and we just really got to know each other. I'm very much an open book, so you learn a lot about me within the first week that you know me. And she was just like, "Hey, I think that you would be a really good fit for IO psychology," and I was like, "Huh, what is that?" Did a little research, came upon GMU, and it was sold. Like I put in my application that day. And it was the best decision that I've probably ever made. Yeah, it's one of the top programs, if not the top program for IO in the country. It is well renowned, well respected. The access that you have to just some spectacular people in the field here at GMU is really amazing. Like you'll find yourself fangirling a little bit. So I think GMU is the perfect program. Again, I definitely have some bias. I did not look into any other programs. But this one is, it checks all the boxes, right? It's got flexibility. It's got a great curriculum that is rigorous and really truly will set you up for a great lifelong career outside of the program. Additionally, you have a beautiful community, both with the staff members, your teachers, and with your cohort. So yeah, GMU all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I did not consider any other online programs. I will say I had been interested in IO for actually a number of years. Had been out of academia for over a decade. It's working. I was like, I'm not going to be competitive on paper. How am I going to do this? Like and I think someone had said to me, look at online programs. Hello. Like, and I'm like, okay, like I'll go and look back. And I looked at who are the top schools for this. And they're all these, mostly on ground master's and PhD programs, not in California. So I don't know if you know this, but like IO is like, there's some awareness, mostly the tech companies, but like there's not a lot of awareness otherwise. And there's not a lot of programs out here. And so I was like, okay. And I think I found GMU through PsyOp. I was, because trying to find like who's got a good who's well ranked, who's got a good online program. And the more I learned about the MPS program, I was just okay, like this looks like what I'm looking for. Attended a virtual house. In fact, I don't think I attended. I think I watched a recording later. The like I kind of alluded to before, the STEM accreditation and kind of focus on being rigorous in that way was very important to me. So check that box. Hearing about how connected you can be and how accessible faculty is, and that like you don't feel like some forgotten little other over here because you're in an online program, all of that. And I can definitely say that's been those things that drew me in that were important to me have been consistent with my experience. And then on top of that, yeah, at GMU, George Mason's got a top 5 IO program. People know it. We won a bunch of awards at PsyOp this year, like which, to Alex's point about fangirling, it's like it's kind of cool to be a part of that also. So yeah.
We roll deep at PsyOp for sure. There with a bunch of other people
representing it.
Yeah.
And you guys got that right with the top 10 IO program in the nation. So definitely really great program. And a lot of times, even the campus program, as we mentioned, again, it's not the same as our online program. The curriculum is very, very unique. And as everyone, Alex and Hannah has attested to, it's, great. The professors and everyone involved are really spectacular. So that's what makes it the best, one of the best. So for sure. And anyone else have any other questions? It did really quickly. I know we're kind of running over time here. And thank you, Alex and Hannah, again, for taking the time out of your night to join us. But regarding the application, our next upcoming terms are fall and spring. Fall starts August 26th. Deadline is August 15th. We do recommend sooner you apply, sooner you can get a decision. As they mentioned, about 30, 40 cohort. There was 40 people in this virtual open house tonight. So again, sooner that you apply, sooner you can get a decision, especially with fall being our higher number of applicants. We do require statistics for our program. As I think Alex mentioned, there's LinkedIn Learning. We actually offer a free LinkedIn Learning statistics course to take if you do not have that prerequisite from your undergrad. So that's one thing. Research methods is recommended, it's not required. So if you don't have a research methods course, don't stress yourself out. IO related coursework or work experience is not even recommended. It's just something nice that you can add to your resume or to the application if you have it. We also do like to see a 3.0 GPA, not a hard requirement. It's preferred, but if you have a lower than a 3.0, we would just ask for a GPA addendum essay in your application, which is just an essay stating maybe why a circumstance your GPA was low and how you'd be able to maintain in your master's. We also ask for your resume. Transcripts, we only ask for your unofficials for the application. Officials are required for by the time you're starting classes and when you're registered. We ask for 2 recommendations, either professional or academic. At least one of those recommendations should come from a supervisor. I know that some students might, own a business, things like that. If you can get a colleague, if you had a past supervisor, just do as best you can with those recommendations. And we don't, as it says here, 2 letters of recommendations, not required. We do something very simple and easy. It makes the application process go so much faster, especially because the letters are usually out of your hands. So all you need to do is put down the name and email of the recommendation. We automatically send them out an email from George Mason with a link to a questionnaire. Questionnaire is about 5 questions, really 10 minutes to complete. I would say probably 5. Very simple, very easy. And then lastly is a personal statement essay. I am an admissions representative here at George Mason. You all, anyone that's interested in the online program would work with an admissions representative to help you throughout the application process. So I myself and my colleagues are here to help you with the application, make sure that nothing's missing, your resume is uploaded correctly, personal statements not missing word count, things like that. So I put down my contact information at the end. I can add it again, but feel free to email me, call me, text me if you are interested in the program, or the office number is there as well. Give us a call and you can speak to myself or one of my colleagues, and we'd be happy to help you. But the application is pretty simple, pretty easy. Again, sooner that you apply, sooner you can get a decision. And awesome. Thank you all for joining. And again, thank you, Alex and Hannah, for taking the time. Really helped me as well as a representative, kind of getting some of your perspective as well. Oh yeah, you can add the letters to the application. There should be a section to upload those. Great question.
Christy's on it. Love that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Please feel free to reach out. I did put my my email in there as well. So yeah, happy to chit chat and answer any additional questions, give advice, look over, anything you guys want.
Thank you guys again.
All right.
Thank you all for joining.
Good to see you, Hannah.
Good to see you too.
This will also be recorded. As mentioned, there's some pre-recorded virtual open houses. So these sessions will be the next ones. So look out for those. All right. Everyone, thanks. Have a great rest of your night.